John Michael Schmitz, the man, the myth, the legend, the best offensive lineman on the interior in this 2023 NFL draft class.
You are Locked On Golden Gophers.
No matter what we're going to do here, we're just going to keep rowing.
Your daily podcast on the Minnesota Golden Gophers.
However it turns out, we're just going to keep rowing.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
We're just going to keep rowing, and keep rowing.
You're listening to Locked On Golden Gophers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name's Kane Rob, host of the podcast, former collegiate football video coordinator and recruiting assistant, here to talk Golden Gophers with you each and every day of the week, Monday through Friday. Now, this week's been a little wonky with the work schedule, so we had to switch it up a little bit. So you're getting a Saturday show, which should have been on Friday, but we're talking about the man, the myth, the legend, John Michael Schmitz, who has been doing work for himself at the Senior Bowl this week. And so this episode today is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to get started, and get started by hitting subscribe on YouTube, making sure you're joining the channel and not missing out on these episodes every week. We are a Gophers channel for daily Gophers information. Now, we didn't have a hockey show this week, but don't worry, they're not done. We're going to keep them coming. But today we're talking about John Michael Schmitz. We're talking about football, and we're talking about this dude who might be playing himself into the first round. Now, you're talking about a guy who blocks through the whistle to the end of the play each and every time, and it is something that I absolutely admire about John Michael Schmitz and his career with the Minnesota Golden Gophers. But when you're looking at the Senior Bowl, when you're looking at what he did this week, man, he was winning in one-on-one drills. He was out there being a dynamic threat, showing great bend, and having his way with NFL caliber defenders. Straight up. Now, on top of that, he was opening up big opportunities in the ground game for explosive runs in the team drills throughout the week. And I got to give credit where credit is due. Friend of the show, Daniel House over at Gophers Guru. If you haven't checked them out before, Daniel definitely talked with John Michael Schmitz this past summer, and you would know this if you followed Gophers Guru. So definitely do that, because he's got the best content out there when it comes to some of the written content on Gophers, especially when it comes to film breakdowns, which he does throughout the year. Got to plug my guy, got to plug Daniel House, but he did talk with John Michael Schmitz, and he heard from John himself when he says that the biggest thing for himself when it comes to his game is all about the first step. And he does have a quick first step, but what he told our friend Daniel House was he believes that the first step is everything. If you don't have a good first step, and if you don't gain a little ground or set a great angle for reaching the defensive tackle, you've already lost. You've already lost. There it is right there. So for a fact, he works on that quick first step, but he has a quick first step, and he definitely put the world on notice when it came to the Senior Bowl. Now, I was going to just talk about how there's a lot of people who've been touting him this whole week about wow, they've been really impressed, but I want to read to you for verbatim what some of these scouts, what some of these analysts, the national media have been saying about John Michael Schmitz this week. Now, it includes the NFL draft tweeting out themselves saying the Gophers center has he been putting himself in the round one conversation with a question mark. PFF, who's been a fan all year, of course, talked about John Michael Schmitz has been putting on a show at the Senior Bowl. Matt Miller, who is often featured on ESPN, has been doing NFL draft scout work for quite a while now, said John Michael Schmitz has had a really good week so far at the Senior Bowl, and he thinks that he's been the best interior player through the first few days at this Reese's Senior Bowl. Then you got Jordan Reed, who works with the NFL Draft Network, has also been featured on many national outlets, said a strong argument can be made that Minnesota center John Michael Schmitz has been the best player at the Senior Bowl. Not just the best lineman, not just the best interior lineman, the best player at the Senior Bowl. On top of that, he's getting all of the love from all over, and you love to see it. And it doesn't end there. That was a tweet that was shared by the Gophers account, but there's been more out there. There's been write-ups by Jordan Reed. There's been write-ups by Lance Zierlein. You've seen the one-on-one clips from practice where John Michael Schmitz just absolutely establishes himself out there, especially in the one-on-ones. There was a great clip against Oklahoma's Jalen Redmond, who he showed he can play with the best of them out there on that field. He was clearing holes left and right. In fact, Cam Meller, who covers NFL coverage as well, talked about how literally watching John Michael Schmitz block downfield or downfield blocking is art. How often do you hear that? Please tell me how often you hear an NFL prospect offensive lineman, more so a center, gives you art when watching them block. Then you got Mike Renner over at PFF, who talked about John Michael Schmitz was putting his stamp on being the offensive center #1 at the Senior Bowl. Connor Rogers, who has covered the Jets huge and immensely. He's also been featured all over in different areas. Well, he said John Michael Schmitz has been in battles all day, every day out there, and it is fun to watch him compete on that level. Lance Zierlein continuously called him his favorite interior lineman by far, hands down, in this draft class. John Michael Schmitz is making himself some money, and I really hope he can creep into that first round conversation. So that's the hype that's been building up, but let's talk about the fun stuff. Let's talk about where he could go in the draft and what could be some landing spots. That's what we're going to talk about coming up next. But like I said, this show is brought to you by our new partners in FanDuel. They are the new sports betting partner for Locked On because they're the #1 sports book in America, hands down, bar none. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better because you're going to get a steal of a deal, and they make it fun and easy to sports bet, plain and simple. So if you download FanDuel now, you can bet Super Bowl 57, which is coming up now in just over a week with a no sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. That's right. If you don't win on your bet, you can still get bonus bets for losing. That's how much they want to show you why they're the best sports book out there. They're safe, they're secure, and they're super easy to use. So definitely head on over to FanDuel.com/lockedon. Again, FanDuel.com/lockedon to claim your first no sweat first bet. Almost flipped those backwards for you there, but definitely check it out. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Today's show is also brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. Now, as a small business owner or hiring manager, you know that success in 2023 all depends on the team members you surround yourself with. That's why you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs. That's right. They're the hottest place to be when it comes to finding a job. Whenever I'm looking or even just perusing the openings, the job offers out there, the different positions that are becoming available, LinkedIn Jobs has been my go-to source for years now. At least 5-6 years, I've always checked them out. They help you attract qualified candidates to your opening jobs with their targeting tools, and they have over 875 million member profiles to post your job in front of to find the most qualified candidates. So go to linkedin.com/lockedoncollege and you can post about your job for free. Free 99. That's without the 99. It's absolutely free. So head on over to linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post about your free job today. Terms and conditions apply. Now, Gophers fans, friends, folks, my fellow Gophers nation, thank you for making Locked On Golden Gophers your first listen when it comes to Gophers daily sports. I appreciate you. I love the comments that we're getting out there. I love the love that you're showing to the show as far as you like the content that's coming through. Tell a friend, tweet about it. Help others find the podcast because it is so much fun to get in these comments with you and get this thing going. And we've got some more to talk about with John Michael Schmitz here. So I won't get too far sidetracked, but I did want to thank you all for listening and making us your first listen when it comes to Gophers sports. But we're here to talk about John Michael Schmitz and the fun stuff. Where could he go in this NFL draft? And you know what? It's a hot topic, and I absolutely love it overall. And I think after this Senior Bowl showing, he's only really going to help himself in the combine and in the pro days, in the interview process of this whole thing, because he's a great guy off the field, great character, great leader. He's always shown himself very well in the pressers. And so I'm not worried about John Michael Schmitz. I think he is absolutely a second round lock at the minimum. There was a pause in there because, I got choked up. It's not because I think he absolutely only will go in the second round, because like I said, I think he has been playing himself into the round one conversation. So I think possibly late first round, otherwise second round locked. I would even say most likely an early second round lock. We're talking in those 30s up to pick 40. I think he goes in those first 10 picks, those first 10-ish picks in the second round at the very latest. So regardless, after all that, I think I can say for a fact, and I don't know if you're in the same boat, let me know if you are down in the comments, but I think John Michael Schmitz will be the first jersey that I own that will be an offensive line player. Not because I don't love the big dudes, but I just have never found myself going that way when it comes to purchasing an NFL jersey. Well, that changes this year. I will be a John Michael Schmitz fan wherever he goes, and I think for sure he's going to have to be the first O-line jersey for me. Proud of him as a Gopher. Now, he could make it 2 Gophers in the first round in the last 3 years. We nearly could have been 3 for 3 if he is to go in the first round, with Boye Mafe just missing out on the first round, coming in as the 8th pick in the second round of last year's draft. But hopefully, John Michael Schmitz can get us back on track, but get us back in the first round and get us that extra boost for the Gophers program. Definitely something that I'm looking forward to seeing, and will have my fingers crossed for him. But let's talk about the teams. What teams will be needing a center? Well, looking at the PFF grades, there are some teams that are dire out there for some good center play. Now, if you're asking me personally, I have 2 dream spots for John Michael Schmitz, and that is the Pittsburgh Steelers, who need to build out that line, but they always have success. They always are thriving. They're always in the conversation. Mike Tomlin, my favorite coach in the league, has not had a losing season in his entire head coaching career in the NFL. Plain and simple. He knows what he's doing, and he puts together the right pieces to last a long time. And I think John Michael Schmitz could be a huge player for them in that offensive line as the center holding down the fort. Now, on top of that, the other dream scenario I see for him is none other than the Philadelphia Eagles. And some fans might be like, whoa, what are you talking about? They got Kelsey. Like, Kels is the best center in the league. He's an all-pro. Like, get out of here with that. Well, you should know Kels is definitely has talked about retiring. I think even getting to the Super Bowl against his brother is going to be a huge possible final hoorah for him. I think it's pretty obvious, but he's most likely going to retire. Maybe he runs it back one more time, but I don't think that's in the cards. So if he is to retire, I think John Michael Schmitz is the perfect type of pick for Philadelphia. They don't have a lot of dire needs. They maybe want to look at running back, but usually you won't go with a running back in the first round. Bijan Robinson is in there in that conversation, but will he be gone at that point? We'll see. So I think overall, if you're looking at the center position, and you are looking at the possibilities, I think the Eagles could get him with one of the last 2 picks in the first round, potentially, if he's still there. And I think he would be a fantastic fit there. Now, Pittsburgh would likely get him at the top of the second round. I believe they have the first pick in the second round, thanks to the Bears trading that pick to them for Chase Claypool. Absolute steal for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So they could pick him up maybe in that second round as the first pick. Now, other squads that definitely would be vying for his services that could realistically see him possibly on the board still when they pick, the Arizona Cardinals, who absolutely have to rebuild that offensive line. He could be the 3rd pick in the second round for them. Otherwise, you've got Jacksonville picking at number 25 in round 1. Could be an opportunity for them to protect their franchise quarterback in Trevor Lawrence, and their center position was definitely one of the lowest in the league for a team that just made it to the playoffs. Boosting that center position could be huge for them moving forward. All Gophers fans would probably love this one, but staying here in Minnesota has the first pick in the 24th pick, in the first round. And he could be on the board there, and it could be a match made in heaven, keeping him here in Minnesota, seeing him paired with a former Gopher, Isaiah Tomoewu. It's a dream scenario, right? But on top of that, the Bears definitely need to fill out their offensive line. Now, it is John Michael Schmitz's hometown in that Illinois area, home state, I should say. But they would probably have to trade up into the early second or into the late first again, because, again, they got rid of that pick to the Steelers. So it's a possibility, but they definitely need some O-line help. Then two other teams could be the Las Vegas Raiders, who absolutely still have to rebuild that interior as well. They would probably have to trade up a little in the second, but if he falls to maybe that lowest end of the spectrum that I can see him falling to, they have the 7th pick in the second round. And if he's still there, I think they absolutely nab him up. In the final team, I really could see him falling to, or even being drafted to, I guess I should say, it wouldn't really be falling, is in the first round, 26th pick to the New York Giants. So that's the 24th, the 25th, and the 26th pick with the Minnesota Vikings, Jacksonville Jaguars, and New York Giants. I think that's kind of the early area of where you could see JMS go. And then maybe those first couple picks in the second round at latest, I don't think he gets past pick, 37 with the Raiders there in the second round. So that's what we're talking about. Now, for me, the dream scenario, like I said, Philly replacing Kelsey, or Pittsburgh, where they just always seem to find a way to win. They ground and pound. They have success with their quarterback. They're always a good unit to watch. I'm not going to lie to you. So that's where I'm at. And before we move on to wrap this thing up with the most important conversation when it comes to John Michael Schmitz, which is coming up next, I need to talk to you first about our friends over at Built Bar. Built Bar is that power pack protein bar that you absolutely need to try if you haven't already. If you're looking for a delicious treat and don't want all the fat or the calories, then you have to try a Built Bar. It's covered in 100% real chocolate, but it's usually got 130 calories or less, 4 grams of sugar or less, and they are unbelievable in their flavor options: churro, peanut butter brownie, coconut almond, raspberry, white chocolate granola. They've got it all for you. So go check it out at built.com, and you can use promo code LOCKEDON15. Again, that's LOCKEDON15 at built.com to get 15% off your purchase or more. And they are selling it in stores as well. So you can pick up a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs at your local Sam's Club or Walmart today, or you can even get a bigger box with their 13-bar box as well. Check them out, Sam's Club, Walmart, or at built.com. All right, we're closing this thing off with the most important conversation piece when it comes to John Michael Schmitz for the now, until he gets drafted. Then that's more important. But the thing I want to close this thing off with is one thing has become very, very clear when it comes to John Michael Schmitz. And that one thing is the real Rimington has made himself known. That's right. I'm talking about the Rimington Award, the best center in the country, which John Michael Schmitz finished as a finalist in, but didn't bring home the trophy, which is absolutely stupid, absolutely dumbfounded. I've brought it up before, but I had to once again. Because why didn't he win it? He was simply wearing the wrong M, and that cost John Michael Schmitz an award for his collegiate achievements that he absolutely deserved. Now, we've discussed it before, like I've said, but these awards are becoming embarrassing about how they are decided. This Rimington was rewarded to a player that left their initial program they committed to in Virginia, played multiple years there, got some Rimington Award watch looks, and then transferred to a blue blood program where they really don't have to be as pristine, as clean, as up to par to put themselves in that conversation again. No, he gets to be the leader in that conversation because he goes to Michigan, because he goes to a blue blood program that people know about, hear about, and see every week on these nationally televised games because the TV markets drool over them. Well, it's stupid. It's stupid because he left a major program, Power 5 program, that he was the foundation in to go to a powerhouse with other top-rated talents to go try and win a championship, and he wins the trophy over a guy who scrapped, who fought, who dug in, who fought through adversity with a team that people always count out of it, and contributed to the long-term success of his up-and-coming program. Heading into the season, John Michael Schmitz was rated as the number 1 center and did nothing at all to counteract that ranking, to counteract that thought process, but magically wasn't enough to bring home the trophy for best center. It just doesn't make any sense. And overall, it's sad, in my opinion, because all it does is encourage people to want to encourage the players to want to transfer to one of these blue blood programs so they can go try to win a chip, so they can get these awards. But it just creates more desire to play for one of like 5 programs as opposed to parity in college football in trying to get the entirety of conferences to be more widely recognized, accepted, cherished, celebrated, etc. So overall, I think this just shows the real number 1, the true number 1 always shows themselves, and it's showing itself in the prep for this NFL draft, and it probably likely will over their careers in the NFL, and all of it just will lead back to how embarrassing it will be to look back and be like, wow, this guy who showed he's a dude, showed he's a stud, and came from a program that people don't necessarily look at for powerhouses, for NFL capable guys. He did it all and showed us why he was that caliber and he should be that dude. And we're like, nah, it's Michigan. Give it to them. They're in the playoffs. It's going to look so embarrassing when we look back on it. So if it plays out that way, it's sad, but overall, congrats to John Michael Schmitz on an amazing collegiate career, a successful prep bowl experience, and now to continued success at the combine, at a pro day, and getting into the draft. Hopefully he gets drafted round number 1. That's going to do it for us on today's episode of Locked On Golden Gophers. I appreciate you for listening. Hit subscribe. Let me know your comments down below, and be sure to like it. But I'll see you next time. This is Kane Rob signing off. Row the boat, Sky Yuma. Go Gophers.